MSW Media. Hey everybody, it's AG, and welcome to Refried Beans, where we play an episode of the Daily Beans podcast from the same week, either 1, 2, or 3 years ago, so we can see how far we've come. So please enjoy this episode from days gone by, and note the date in the intro.
Refried beans. I like refried beans. That's why I want to try fried beans, because maybe they're just as good and we're wasting time.
News with swearing. Daily beans, daily beans. Daily beans, daily beans.
Hello, and welcome to the Daily Beans for Monday, December 19th, 2022. Today, the Fulton County Grand Jury investigating Donald is preparing its final report. The January 6th committee is set to vote on criminal referrals for Donald today. A judge has unsealed proceedings showing the Department of Justice got John Eastman's emails earlier this year. A Capitol riot defendant planned to kill FBI agents who investigated him. Twitter suspended journalists who have been covering Elon Musk. And the Donald NFT grift is worse than you think. I'm Allison Gill.
And I'm Dana Goldberg.
Hi, Dana. Happy Hanukkah.
Thank you. Happy. This will actually be the first day of Hanukkah when you listen to this. The first night was last night. So I'm wishing all of my Jewish people a very happy Hanukkah and a festival of lights and miracles. And for those of us who love us, I think you should try and celebrate with someone who observes this holiday. It's pretty magical and it's pretty wonderful. So
absolutely. 100%. Did you have a great weekend?
I did. I flew back from New York and now I am in Los Angeles back with you, back with the Beans. And it feels nice to be home.
Yes, I missed you. I'm glad you're back. And I did get a lot of messages. People missed you while you were gone. So
that is nice to hear. Everyone's always like, did you fire her? Because sometimes people miss an episode and they're like, why haven't I heard Dana's voice?
It's actually Dana's in charge. She could actually fire me. It's very
lies.
You know.
She started lying in the Jewish holiday. That's what she does.
It's because I just voted to kick Elon Musk off Twitter. He actually put up a poll saying, should I leave Twitter? Yes or no? And he said he would stick to whatever the vote is. And he's losing 57 to 43 right now. We'll see how it goes.
Oh, good Lord.
I know. The fix is in, I'm sure, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And also there's been an issue on Sunday over the weekend with Megaphone, which is the platform we upload our podcasts to cast them out to all of the players like Google Play and Apple Podcasts and Stitcher and Overcast and all that. And so there was an issue with the Jack podcast that came out yesterday. We did put it up for free to the public on our Patreon, patreon.com/MullerSheWrote. You can go and hear it for free there. And we also have it fixed up on Apple Pods, ad-free as well, just on Apple Podcasts. And we're working on the rest. So I just wanted to give everybody a heads up. The Trump NFT grift is worse than we think.
Oh, boy.
And I'll be talking to a business fraud expert, Kurt Eichenwald, who did some digging into the LLC that was set up to handle the transactions and what other criminals are linked to that LLC later in the show. It's pretty impressive, so you don't want to miss that interview. And Dana, real quick, the 1-6 committee will hold a hearing today, 1 p.m. Eastern, to vote on criminal referrals. Normally, I would be live tweeting this, but I'm going to be live posting this on Post. My account on Post is @MullerSheWrote, just like it is on Twitter. But that's just kind of like a little dig in the eye of Mr. Elon over there. So I will be putting it up on Twitter. If you're still on the Post waiting list, it'll just be after. I'm also going to be hosting a live Zoom watch party with patrons today at 1 p.m. Eastern, if we can get that up and running. And so I look forward to that. So those are the little discussion notes that we have. There is a lot of news to get to today. Let's hit the hot notes. Hot notes. So this is cool, Dana. Newly unsealed court proceedings dating back to May of this year show that the Department of Justice obtained search warrants for the email accounts of John Eastman, Jeffrey Clark, and another Trump lawyer named Klukowski, and a redacted fourth person long before we knew they had gotten a hold of them. So, while the January 6th committee was battling back and forth with Eastman in court, do you remember all that, where He was
Absolutely.
like, no. Yeah. And Judge Carter was like, sorry, crime fraud exception. These 2 crimes, these 8 emails have to go. These 111 emails have to go. While all that was going on, Department of Justice already had his Chapman University emails. They had about 130,000 documents from those 4 email accounts. And the DOJ set up a filter team to go through them because Jeffrey Clark, John Eastman, and Klukowski are lawyers. I don't know who the 4th person is. I assume it's a lawyer, but it might not be a lawyer. Then in May, the same time they were issuing the subpoena for the documents from Mar-a-Lago, the Department of Justice investigative team asked the Department of Justice filter team, hey, could you prioritize emails from those 4 accounts to and from Congressman Scott Perry? We're really interested in the Scott Perry emails first. And the court said yes. The judge determined those emails were not subject to attorney-client or work product privilege. And the filter team went through and got all the ones from those 4 accounts to and from Scott Perry and said to the judge, we don't think these are privileged. The judge agreed and handed them over to DOJ. And within a couple of months of that, Dana, the DOJ got a warrant to seize Scott Perry's phone. And in order to get a warrant, you have
absolutely.
You have to have probable cause that crimes are on the phone. Something else that the judge ruled had to be handed over were over 330 drafts of Jeffrey Clark's memoir that he's been working on. And pro tip, Dana, if you're criming, don't write it down in a book.
And they all seem to do it. Unbelievable.
They do. And something of import to the DOJ investigative team was information in that memoir about his draft letter to Georgia that falsely stated there were election irregularities and they should put forth a slate of Trump electors. Remember, he penned those letters, and Klukowski helped him write those letters. Also included in the memoir was Trump's reaction to that draft letter and descriptions of the meeting that he had with Donald about it. Very valuable to prosecutors trying to establish intent. And I go over all of this with Andrew McCabe on the latest Jack Pod. And I asked him why DOJ is unsealing these proceedings now, and he had the answer. So you definitely want to tune into that show.
And I can only assume, because I'm a comedian, that Eastman thought, he'll know if I say these things to Congress under oath, but he doesn't read, so I can put them in a book, and he'll never see them.
Well, it was Clark, but yeah. But
yeah, exactly.
He was also like, the guy who's like, hey, are any of those pardons still available? Like in an email. Like it's just the dumbest guy.
I mean, so many, 130,000 documents. Oy, all right. Thanks, AG. Now, a Tennessee man who was previously charged in connection with the Capitol riot, well, he's now facing conspiracy and other charges after allegedly obtaining a copy of a list of law enforcement personnel who played a role in his criminal investigation and discussing plans to kill them. This is according to court filings that were unsealed on Friday. The criminal complaint against Edward Kelly, he's 33, of Maryville, says he obtained the names of law enforcement personnel involved in the probe that led to his initial arrest and discussed plans to kill them and attack the FBI's field office in Knoxville. Austin Carter, who's 26, of Knoxville, he's listed as a co-defendant in this case. The pair were charged with conspiracy, retaliating against a federal official, interstate communication of a threat, and solicitation to commit a crime of violence. Well, Kelly and Carter made their initial appearance in court in Knoxville on Friday. Kelly was already facing charges in the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia after he was arrested in Knoxville on May 5th, and he was arrested for allegations that he assaulted a law enforcement officer during the January 6th riot at the Capitol. Well, he was released a week later on a personal recognizance bond. And now, according to these new court filings, the FBI Knoxville office had opened an investigation and assigned agents to Kelly's case after receiving information about his potential involvement at the Capitol on January 6th. The cooperating witness earlier this week, they presented authorities with a printed document including about 37 names, positions, and in some cases, phone numbers of law enforcement personnel involved in the criminal investigation. That's a big fucking deal. And this is from the filings in the state. Now, the list also identified which officers were present when Kelly was arrested in May. That's also in that filing. The witness allegedly told investigators that Kelly discussed collecting intelligence on law enforcement involved in the case and shared plans to kill personnel on the list, saying, quote, with us being such a small group, we will mainly conduct recon missions and assassination missions. They put this shit in writing. It's unbelievable. Now, both Kelly and Carter have been detained. Carter has a detention hearing scheduled for Wednesday of this week. Now, Marina Medvin, who has been representing Kelly in the January 6 charges, she didn't immediately respond to a request for comment. Medvin on Friday filed a motion seeking to withdraw as Kelly's attorney. So she's like, I'm fucking out.
Yeah. And I have to wonder if this isn't connected to, do you remember when somebody opened fire on the Knoxville
I do.
FBI headquarters?
Yeah.
I have to assume that this is them. And now they're in trouble for that too. So it's the find out portion of fucking around.
Fuck around. Hell yeah.
All right. And a special grand jury investigating the efforts by the former guy to overturn the 2020 election in Georgia is winding down its work, according to sources familiar with the matter. And time. I mean, we all knew it was a 6-month, special grand jury. The Atlanta area special grand jury has largely finished hearing witness testimony and has already begun writing its final report, according to sources, an indication that prosecutors will soon be deciding whether to seek criminal charges and against whom. In Georgia, special grand juries are not authorized to issue indictments. We've talked about this on the show. The final report serves as a mechanism for the panel to recommend whether Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis should pursue indictments in her election interference investigation. She could then go to a regularly impaneled grand jury to get those indictments because Georgia works a little differently. Quote, it's a significant step. It's the culmination of work by prosecutors in the special grand jury, but it shouldn't be taken as any kind of guarantee of a conviction down the road. That's from former U.S. Attorney in the Middle District of Georgia, Michael Moore. He said, this is just the beginning. Prosecutors had hoped to move ahead with indictments as early as December, sources previously told CNN, but court fights for testimony from high-profile witnesses like Lindsey Graham and Michael Flynn and Mark Meadows, all of whom were ordered to testify before the special grand jury, have likely shifted indictments to 2023, according to a person familiar with the situation, knowing that time is indeed linear. Willis has already informed, I added that time is linear part. Willis has already informed Rudy and 16 Republicans who served as pro-Trump fake electors in the state that they are targets of her investigation. She'll also be scrutinizing Trump and other top lieutenants, including Mark Meadows. The next phase in Georgia comes at a politically and legally perilous time for Donald. His nascent 2024 presidential campaign is off to a sputtering start, and he is under Justice Department scrutiny, both for his handling of classified government documents after leaving the White House and for his activities on January 6th and leading up to January 6th. So we'll see what happens. But that grand jury, that special grand jury is winding down. She hasn't applied for another one. So I'm assuming she's ready to make her decisions.
All right. Thanks, AG. Now, there was a shit show over the weekend on Twitter with journalists' accounts getting suspended. Now, amid this intense backlash and accusations of violating press freedom, Twitter has now reinstated the accounts of several journalists who were suspended over the last several days, though at least one remains suspended. Now, on Thursday night, the social media platform suspended several reporters who had tweeted or written about who? Elon Musk's ownership of the company. Thin-skinned billionaire. Now, among the accounts that went dark were Donnie O'Sullivan from CNN, Brian Mack from the New York Times, Drew Harwell of Washington Post, Michael Lee of Intercept, and Aaron Rupert, who we love and follow. Now, on Friday evening, Musk put the decision of whether to reinstate suspended accounts up for a public vote. He tweeted an informal poll, which asked Twitter users to choose when to, quote, unsuspend accounts who doxed his exact location in real time. By the way, that actually didn't happen. I listened to some things on Twitter. There were actually live chat rooms going on. That's not what happened with these journalists. Now, according to the poll, 58.7% of voters favored lifting the suspensions immediately over 41.3% of respondents who said Musk should wait 7 more days. Rupert, whose account was reinstated on Friday, said the suspension signaled Twitter's instability. This is a quote. It's a clear illustration that it is no longer a rules-based company. And this is again from Rupert. He told this to NPR. It's basically a company based on Elon Musk's whims, and the terms of service depend on his mood each day. Now, Lynette Lopez, a Business Inside reporter who previously covered Musk, said her account was suspended on Friday after she tweeted court documents that revealed Musk had hacked and doxed people in the past. Well, Washington Post columnist Taylor Lorenz said her account was briefly suspended on Saturday evening after seemingly asking Musk to comment on an upcoming story. The Lorenz said she was told from Twitter support that her account was permanently banned. It appeared to be active again as of Sunday. afternoon, Sunday afternoon. Now, meanwhile, Lopez's account, that one still remains suspended as of Sunday. And she said she had not heard from the company as to why.
Yeah. I called it the Thursday Night Massacre. That caught on and went viral. But wow, yeah, that was a frightening little blip. And I actually texted a friend. I'm like, I bet he's going to. He was never going to keep them suspended. And it was just kind of like a warning shot, like to
Totally.
chill people to report on him and bring him back. And that's precisely what happened. Also of note, by the way, today, photos emerged on the internet all over of Jared Kushner and Elon Musk at the World Cup together in a box, both heavily funded by the Saudis, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not surprising they're pals. Well, the company you keep says a lot about you.
Yeah. And if I may, just a little comment on that World Cup. My God, if anyone watched that, one of the best World Cups I've ever seen. It was absolutely crazy. I mean, I don't like when games get decided by penalties because I feel like that's just, one, the pressure on the goalie is substantial. And two, it's just really unfortunate when that comes down to that for such an important game. I'm really I love France. They're an incredible powerhouse. I'm so happy that Messi got his World Cup after all of these years. He finally got it on the resume. So it was beautiful. The goals, Argentina was up 2-0 until almost the end of regular time. France got 2 goals in 90 seconds. It was the craziest shit I've ever seen. And then it went back and forth and over to in extra time. And then we went to penalties. But my God, if you're a World Cup fan, and I am a big one, obviously, and I haven't always watched the men, I'll be honest, that shouldn't shock anyone if you know me. I was super impressed with this World Cup. It was incredible.
Yeah. And that third goal to tie it didn't come until 24 minutes into extra time. It was bananas. And then, I wish they would just keep playing until somebody scored a goal. But it was... a lot of my friends are like, well, I don't really need to watch soccer anymore. That was pretty much the best game I've ever seen.
I don't know if we're going to see a better one than that. It was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I hate that it was in Qatar. We'll ignore that. It was phenomenal.
Yep. And I hate that Jared and Elon were there watching it together.
100%.
With all the Saudis, but whatevs. All right. Up next is my interview with Kurt Eichenwald. He is a New York Times bestselling author. He's also 30 years of in business fraud, is an expert. And we're going to talk about the Trump NFT scam. Stick around. We'll be right back.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. I am happy to be joined by a New York Times bestselling author and former senior writer for The Times with a new post out on his Substack, which is threats.substack.com. And it's called Trump's Trading Card Grift is Worse Than You Think. And it really is. Please welcome Kurt Eichenwald. Hi, Kurt.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
It's really great to have you. This is a very important piece. I've shared it on all my social media sites. Don't tell Elon that I've shared it on other things besides Twitter. But, this is a very important post because there's all sorts of things in here. You did a pretty deep dive on all sorts of shell companies, rubbing elbows with international criminals, as you put in your lead. And, I had been asking a little bit earlier, this seems like a really good way to launder money. Everything comes in at under $10,000, which, doesn't trigger the Bank Act, the Bank Security Act. Tell me a little bit about what you found when you dove into what's going on with the huge announcement of the NFT trading cards.
Well, the announcement was scuzzy enough as it possibly could be. It really did look like something you'd see it, when you wake up in the middle of the night at 3 a.m. on a channel just after the, have you been damaged by? It was awful. And it had a thing saying, go to this site. And I went to the site, and the cards themselves, which are just digital things, were obviously terrible photoshops. They were just ridiculous. And it's had all the earmarks of something that was not involving people of high quality or people who were interested in producing something that people would actually want to buy. And so I started reading down the questions, the answers to questions, and it became very clear once you dug into the fine print that you really didn't own these things. in the traditional sense of ownership. Everything you did, you had to kick back money to this group. And I'll get into that in a second. And then I read in this that there was an entity that was called CIC. And CIC was, if you think about it, CIC Digital. CIC is commander in chief. So clearly this was going to be Trump. And when I, looked at its connections, it was Trump. And the fine print said, CIC, you can't, in this transaction, you can't sue CIC International, you can't sue Trump, you can't sue the Trump Corporation, because all of it has been licensed to something else called NFT International. Well, I did corporate fraud for 30 years. And once you start having multiple layers of entities, including some that are, partnerships that can't be sued, my antenna go up. And so NFT International was and CIC were the two things to look at. And I looked at the contact information. If you have a problem with your cards, contact here. And there was an address. And so I started, with a suite number, and I started digging down into that. And it ended up being a UPS box in Utah. But that wasn't the final point.
Oh, no, of course not.
And from there, it was connected in terms of where it was registered to an entity in Wyoming. And I already knew the address of this play. It was just saying it was address here. I already knew the address because it is renowned among corporate fraud guys as the place to go to find a story, because it sets up shell companies that are frequently used by fraudsters, by criminals, by international criminals, and they get registered and they all move their headquarters to this little brick house. And I mean, literally a little brick house in Cheyenne, Wyoming. And that is where the owner, the producer of Trump's trading cards was. Well, what else was there? Somebody, an international criminal who embezzled millions of dollars, people who were on the hook for fraud against the U.S. military, tax cheats, wire fraud, I mean, you just start going down the list. And it was like 60 different criminal enterprises or groups that have been accused of being criminal enterprises in litigation. And there is, joining them, the former president of the United States. And it just said to me, oh, this is so wonderful. This is so delicious. And so I decided, I had to write all of this up as a Substack to let people understand that you're dealing with this entity, NFT International, which has successfully hidden who owns it and what they do, but they're clearly just a scuzzy operator, and that they all flow down to a place with a bunch of criminals. Mm-hmm. And it just, for a minute I was like, oh my God, how can a former president be wrapped up like this? I was like, it's Trump. Of course he's wrapped up with people like this.
And this is your wheelhouse. You immediately recognize the address of the little brick house in Cheyenne, which I think is pretty incredible. And given your background, I have a couple questions for you. There was a couple people who pointed out on Twitter that the Bank Security Act looks at and flags transactions, cash transactions over $10,000, and he limited 100 of these NFT cards at $99, bringing any transaction in at $9,900. Now, it was asked of me, and several other people were asking, well, those are only cash transactions, but isn't it true that any credit or debit or crypto that he withdraws as cash is considered a cash transaction? I'm not sure how that works.
Well,
but
technically it is, but the thing is, particularly with crypto, it's not really traceable. So, and that's what
at any amount
so dangerous is that you can move $50 million in crypto and it doesn't automatically trigger the anti-money laundering statutes. And so, Trump's whole thing, if you go through it, it's about $4.5 million. Now, think about how pathetic that is. This man who is, quote unquote, a billionaire, which he's not, is scamming.
Well, he laundered $50 million selling a mansion in Florida to Rob Loveland.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he also
turn around and sell it.
He also,
so
his first
$4.5 million is chump change, right?
And his first money laundering scheme was actually in the 1980s when Trump Castle was heading toward bankruptcy, and it was in violation of the terms of the loans with the banks, and it needed to have more money. So his dad's lawyer came in with literally a suitcase full of cash, bought a bunch of chips, and left.
That was the whole. We learned that through Too Much and Never Enough. The Mary Trump book was the first time I learned about that. Casino chip money laundering.
He got sanctioned by the Atlantic City Gaming Board for money laundering.
Yeah.
And, you sort of look there and go, oh, this man of God, which is a friggin' lie. Oh, he's so wonderful. He's so great. And it's like, he's a con artist.
Mm-hmm.
He's a con artist and a criminal. And he always has been. Remember, I was covering corporate fraud back in the 1980s. Well, I covered Donald Trump. My very first phone call with him was on my very first day as a reporter. I had literally written nothing for the New York Times. And there is no way, I had written freelance articles for a bunch of obscure publications. And my first conversation, I called to speak to his spokesman, and he got on the phone, which freaked me out. And I identified myself, and he said, "Oh, Kurt, I love your stuff." You just lied to me. You never read anything I've written. And so, yeah, the relationship with him went on from there. He lies about everything, everybody he's associated with, one way or the other.
Oh, yeah, I have a personal connection. My mom was in the Building Owners and Managers Association in Arizona, and then it moved out to work in California with some legal firms on commercial buildings. And they had hired the Trump firm they had been subcontracted to the Trump firm for some construction, and he never paid that bill. He still owes my mom like 10 grand. And then my mom did a bunch of work to stop him from putting a Trump Tower up in Palm Springs. They were like, no way we're letting this guy move in here to Palm Springs. And so she successfully kept him out of Palm Springs, which I personally, as a familial point of pride for me. But something else that's really interesting is that the person running this CIC, which is connected to NFT International, and everything that you've posted here in your Substack, again, it's threats.substack.com. Everybody needs to check it out, is Nick Luna, the body man, right? The guy who's been working for Trump forever. He had to testify to the 1-6 committee. He's been sort of in and around a lot of things that Donald said. It's kind of reminiscent of him putting Devin Nunes in charge of, the business that runs Truth Social, which is also is currently under federal criminal investigation, and also by SEC and FINRA and the Southern District of New York. So he's doing real well.
Well, it makes sense that he would put in somebody like Luna because, number one, he's a Trump acolyte. Number two, the whole role of CIC is to be, sort of a partnership bagman for Donald Trump, because CIC, Trump has been doing this licensing of his name for about 12 years, and all of them are structured the same way. He gets a major payment up front. So I have no doubt that NFT International has already paid CIC, which then gets pushed up the line into Donald Trump's pocket. And then he gets a portion of every sale and a portion of every resale. And so, Trump already has pocketed a lot of money. And Luna doesn't have to do anything but sort of sit there as a figurehead and let this sluice fund, the cash flow through CIC and go up to Donald Trump through whatever partnership he has up there, because it's not going to go directly into his pocket. It's going to go through something else.
And when I think about the fact that he's lost a lot of his money laundering laundromats, I guess, if you want to say. I mean, the Trump Organization, you're not going to try to launder money through the Trump Organization in real estate deals now. It's under a lot of scrutiny. And both New York Attorney General Tish James and now, again, Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg criminally looking into it, civilly suing them for $250 million. They're under the eye of a monitor, retired Judge Barbara Jones, who has been appointed to monitor while the civil suit is pending by the New York Attorney General. And that covers all of his real estate. And so you're not going to be able to do that. And then, of course, Deutsche Bank won't touch him with a 10-foot pole. I don't even think Ladder Capital will lend to him now. So he has no other way to get money. And so especially no other way to launder money. So it's I think it's really interesting.
I fully believe that once it becomes clear to, and I'm sure it's becoming clear already, to foreign nations that he is not going to be president again, and I do not believe he will, because I think finally the Republicans will put up with everything but losing.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and I think you're going to touch on my third point. Now that he's running for president, he's under all of his PACs and everything are now under scrutiny from the FEC. Not that they have any teeth right now, but
once he loses, or once it appears that he loses, or maybe even now, the Saudis, the Russians, all these people who've been flowing money to him are going to back off, because they're going to know every dollar we spend, every dollar we put into this guy's operations could come back to bite us in the ass. And so I fully believe that we will see a complete collapse of the Trump Organization within the next 3 or 4 years. Yeah. And if not, I'm going to be really interested where his money came from, because, there's only so much he can steal from MAGA, and there's only so much he can take, and he has been doing this. There's only so much he can take out of his political fundraising and pocket, and so,
yeah. And now the NRA is under scrutiny, so there's not a lot of money that's going to be funneled through there. And of course, if he can't win, there's no inaugural that he can scam.
Yeah.
So, we're here where now he's selling trading cards through
and Christmas wrapping paper.
Mm-hmm. And his wine glasses. I feel like when he was down there trying to eat and shred or sell the classified documents, he found a bunch of like old wine glasses and maybe some steaks and some stuff. And like he's just selling everything out of storage now. Well,
he owes $400 million that's coming due next year, I think. And, I'm going to be real interested to find out where that money comes from.
Yeah. Do you think Kushner will lend it to him? Lend him some of his $2 billion Saudi dollars?
I think, Kushner can't, because he's operating a fund. And so if he would have to invest in something Trump-wise, and that could be deemed by, all the fund investors are going to be told. Now, that might be a means of laundering money from the Saudis, but, Yeah,
he could invest in Trump NFT trading cards.
Yeah, hey.
Well, Kurt, it's been really great talking to you. I recommend everybody follow you on Twitter, and of course,
and post, because Twitter says we can't tell people where we are anymore. I'm at post.news. Go with @Kurt Eichenwald is my name, is same as on my Twitter account.
Cool. Yes. And post. And also, please go subscribe. It's threats.substack.com. I really encourage you. There's a lot of important things. And if you want to continue to follow this story, I know that you're going to be posting a lot about it as things unfold. And I'm sure as investigations open up, but they're in 3, 2, 1, we're going to start seeing some FINRA and at least SEC investigations, and then possibly, what would it be? The Middle District of Florida? I don't know.
Well, I'm also like looking forward to the collapse of Truth Social, because everything there is just falling apart.
Yeah, the SPAC, the DWAC, that whole. So I think Southern District is looking into that. But maybe it's the Wyoming U.S. Attorney's Office that'll be looking.
There's so many places to go. Too much crime, too little time.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time today, Kurt Eichenwald. We'll be right back with the good news.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Everybody, welcome back. It's time for the good news.
Who likes good news, everyone? Then good news, everyone.
Good news, good news, good news. And if you have any good news, confessions, corrections, pod pets, letters to Santa or the Easter Bunny or the Tooth Fairy or shit kids say or shit adults say or shit you say, anything you want to send to us, you can do so by going to dailybeanspod.com and clicking on contact. Also, again, our podcast hosting platform was acting real funny on Sunday. Not ha-ha funny, full on what the fuck is going on funny. And as a result, the latest episode of Jack may only be available through the Patreon link that we made public or Apple Podcasts, and we're putting it up on YouTube. So hopefully by tomorrow, the whole thing is sorted out when everybody gets back from their weekend. Just wanted to put that out there. So let's kick this off with Christy from Jefferson City. I recently discovered your podcast and I'm really enjoying it. I heard you wanted to see a frog orgy. Christy, thank you for not questioning the origin of that. And I remembered some pictures I took at the zoo a few years ago. 2 different couples, same tank. And here's a picture of my dog, Oliver. It's not hard to guess his breed, full-on mini doxy. But we got him from a rescue when he was 4 months old. He's now 3, and his superpower is cuddling. Excellent.
Oh my God, there is legit a frog orgy for you, AG.
Well, it's 2 frogs, but hey.
There's 3 in the first picture. Oh, maybe that's the reflection.
I'll pretend it's 3.
I'm okay. You know what? Obviously, I haven't attended a lot of frog orgies. You were very clear that Dana, that's only 2, and I was like, it looks like 3.
Look at the puppy. Look at the
Oh, sweet baby. Oh my God, I love you. I love that. Thank you very much. Now, Mariah, this is Mariah, pronounced she and her. Hi, AG and DG, mom of Hammy McBaconfat here. I owe y'all another good news post for my Whoopi story, but this post needed to happen first. I have an idea for another thing we can share as a group, holiday decor. I'd like to share a picture of our Christmas tree. It'll be hard to see, but our decorations range from Scottish Terrier Nutcracker to crocheted cat butts, from glow-in-the-dark jellyfish to a Fender guitar, from a rubber chicken in a Santa suit to a little black ball that just says atheist. And no tree of ours would be complete without giant googly eyes. I hope this tree brings you as much joy as it did to us. I mean, that is definitely a hodgepodge of shit, and it's still absolutely beautiful.
Okay, Mariah, the googly eyes remind me of, there's a Christopher Walken SNL skit called A Nervous Gardener, and he puts googly eyes on all of his plants because he doesn't trust them. This is what
That's
that
hilarious.
reminds me of. Thank you for sharing that. That is so awesome. Next up from Anonymous, no pronouns given, pet tax. I'm a dog guy. I had 2 lovely and beautiful dogs, Shepherd Pit Bull mix and the other a full Dobie. They were both 100+ pounds and both lasted 16 years consecutively, not concurrently. Big girls love them dearly. We have a mouse issue, and my wife's told me we're getting a cat. Now I'm a cat lady. Said cat sleeps on my head. No idea why. I try to ignore her. Perhaps that is why. Anonymous, that is exactly why. The more you dislike cats, the more they cuddle with you and sleep on you.
Oh my God. So sweet, though.
So cute.
Indeed. All right. This is also from Anonymous, but pronouns she and her. Hello, queens of daily beans. I love your show and I listen to it every morning while I walk my dog. I always sing along with the theme song and still crack up every time I hear Hot Notes replace the original Hot Stuff lyrics of Donna Summer's song. Hot stuff. Now, my Shih Tzu Poodle mix Chewbacca turns 15 on Susan B. Anthony's birthday, December 19th. That is today. We adopted him when he was 3, and he has been such a good boy all these years. He absolutely hates wearing clothes, but I'm attaching a photo of him in the Halloween costume my wife made him the first year we had him. When we didn't know better, she could not resist dressing him up as an Ewok, and he wore the costume for just as long as it took for us to take the photo of him before making it clear that this would never happen again. Also, since you asked for letters to Santa, I'm attaching a historical relic, a letter my dad wrote to Santa back in 1934. He grew up to be a journalist, and I think there are early signs of his future profession in this letter. I especially love that he did background research and that he typed it. Unfortunately, he did not get what he asked for that year, times being what they were. And this fucking dog dressed in an Ewok is hysterical. Now, what does this letter say? Here we go. All right. Dear Santa Claus, please bring me a sled, and I would like two. Let me hold on.
Yeah,
So-
and I would like also.
Oh, I would like to a chin. Now, whoops, I was making that bigger and I got too big. I would like a chin rest and a shoulder rest for my violin. Oh, right. I believe that is all. This will be about my last letter to you since I'm 9 years of age. Loads of love, Jay. I don't want to say the name just in case. LB64, Richland, Iowa. P.S. I would like to have the brown sled up at Fred Smith's and named the sled king.
The Speed King. I think it's the Speed
Speed King. Speed King. It costs $2.70
Plus 3 cents.
3 cents tax. That's amazing.
Oh,
1934.
December 15th, 1934. Oh
Now,
my
for
God.
those of you that are young listening to the podcast, this was typed on a typewriter. That's something that is not plugged into the computer. It does not have a hard drive. It has a lot of keys that used to get stuck in 1934, and then you would have to take white out and cover them up.
He sounds like he's 40, except
He
for the
does.
sled part, right? Like like I said, and also a chin rest and a shoulder rest for my violin. I believe that is all. And this will be
This
about,
would be about my last letter.
since I am 9 years of age and years is abbreviated.
Oh my God, it really does. That is definitely an old soul right there. Absolutely adorable, though. This is fantastic.
Oh, and the Ewok dog. So great. Please send in your letters to Santa. I absolutely love that. And thank you, everyone, for sending in your good news stories. Thanks for the frog orgy. I appreciate it. And hey, Dana, do you have any final thoughts?
No final thoughts. Just like I said before, happy Hanukkah to everyone, and continue to light the lights and celebrate the miracles that are around you, because they are everywhere. You just have to look for them.
100%. Thank you so much, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow. Until then, please take care of yourselves, take care of each other, take care of the planet, take care of your mental health. Vote blue over Q.
And take everyone with you.
I've been AG.
And I've been DG.
And them's the beans.
Refried beans. I like refried
Beans.